Hello class, today I'm going to give a persuasive speech on the importance of firearm safety in education, which totally outweighs federally mandated firearm control. I think that we can all agree that guns don't kill people. People kill people. My goal today is to make sure that you understand the need for firearm safety rather than government control of firearms. From the time I was a small child, I have been raised around firearms. These guns were safely stored and safely used. As far back as I can remember, I was taught to respect and acknowledge the power of weapons and firearms. The firearms in my house, my parents' house, my grandparents' house were used primarily for home defense. I personally own both a long gun and a revolver. The long gun is an antique 12 gauge that I actually got as a present from my father. Mostly used for sport. By sport, I mean turkey shoots locally. I just recently purchased, registered a .357 snub-nosed revolver. This I keep next to my bed for home defense, as I said. But today I want to educate my audience on the importance of firearm safety and education. Let's start by understanding why we all have the right to own a firearm. Hopefully, I'm addressing an audience of appropriate intelligence to understand the important issues that I'm discussing. The federally mandated government control is more about losing our civil liberties than it is about actual gun control. By this phase of our education, I can assume that we have all studied the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The Constitution was indeed written in the 18th century. This may be difficult to understand some of the wording, being that it is proper English. The Constitution was written to ensure that our government would be fair and unjust, meaning that we citizens are guaranteed our rights above all the powers of the government. They were also written to ensure the government did not abuse their power. The Second Amendment to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights reads, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." To me, this reads exactly the same today, just as it did as it was ratified in 1791. There is no fancy, proper English in the sentence. 220 years later, we're already no longer to even have a militia. Militias were in place to keep the peace between citizens and government. Are we ready to let the government take our weapons as well? Thomas Jefferson said, "The beauty of the Second Amendment is that it will only be needed when they try to take it away." Did Thomas Jefferson know then the government was going to grow out of control and take away our liberties 220 years before it starts to happen? I believe he did. And I believe this is the nature of a democracy. I would now like to provide a small bit of firearm education to ensure we're all on the same page. There are basically three types of firearms: handguns, long guns, and machine guns. Handguns can be held in one hand, supported with the other hand. A couple examples are pistols, revolvers, derringers. A few examples of long guns are shotguns or rifles. These can be supported with one hand against the shoulder. Another type of gun is a machine gun that needs to be placed on the ground or on a stand. A couple examples are anti-aircraft weaponry, 50 caliber sniper rifles, even Tommy guns, as you can remember in the movies about the 20s and 30s. I'd also like to discuss the legalities of purchasing one of these guns. In 1968, the Gun Control Act was passed, making it illegal for certain people not to possess firearms. We can all understand that certain people, do not need a firearm. But who is to say who these people are? Should there be a committee? Is that a government issue? Should there be psychological testing? It's true that in certain situations, a predetermined set of rules and regulations aren't going to work. That's entirely a different speech. But when it comes to deciding the laws surrounding firearm ownership, where does the government stand? Partly your party affiliation, Our government makes hundreds of thousands of dollars in gun control debate. Lobbyists paying political parties for their votes. Activists wanting to swing votes in their direction. Again, that's another speech entirely. Let's get back on track, understanding situational need for personal firearms. If your house were broken into and your home, if your house were broken into and you were home and prepared to protect and defend your family with personal belongings, as of 2010, 40 to 55% of U.S. households were gun owners. Big surprise to a lot of people that it's almost so completely even of the households that do and don't own firearms. That's roughly 47 to 53 million protected homes. I wonder what the other 55% believe. Do they believe the local police are going to be there to protect them and their belongings, their families, their loved ones? There's another quote I love, but I'm not sure the author. I carry a gun because a police officer is too heavy. Cute. Another situation I want to bring up is random crime against women. If it were your wife, your sister, your daughter, and they were getting attacked, would you rather they wait for that police officer? Or would you rather them have a firearm on them, carrying it, ready to defend themselves? Obviously, much faster. You have to decide, is this something you want for your loved ones? In 2010, the murder rate was insane. Statistics show roughly 1 in 240 Americans are murdered. Drastic. 1 in 240 Americans are murdered. Or, how about 83% of Americans will be the victim of an attempted or completed violent crime? I am choosing to be excluded from those statistics. I will not be a victim. Will you or your family members be a victim? These are only a few of the many reasons I choose to educate myself and my family on proper gun ownership, which involves safety and education, not government control. These crimes I gave as examples are not committed by law-abiding citizens. They do not have registered weapons or concealed carry permits. These crimes are committed by illegally owned and operated firearms. I have statistics to prove this. In a 10-year period from November 30th, 1998 to December 31st, 2008, about 96 million background checks were made. Basically, the background check is when you're purchasing a firearm to register legally. Of these, approximately only 1% were denied. Only 1% of all the background checks done in 10 years were denied. Obviously, criminals don't want their firearms registered. So why are we adding laws to the already law-abiding citizens? Finally, personal safety is only one of the reasons people have the right to own firearms. Hunting or even collecting guns as a United States citizen is your right. I want to conclude by reiterating the Second Amendment to the Bill of Rights. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. The right to the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. If we allow our government to remove our right to own firearms, what is the next amendment that they're going to take? Are you willing to give up your free speech? That's the First Amendment. I urge you to take the time to think about this issue. Even if you yourself are not ready to own a gun, please understand one day you may want to, and it could be too late. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Thank you all for listening. I hope you decide that you won't be a victim either. I want to leave you with one final quote. It is better to have a gun and not need it than need a gun and not have it. Thank you.